Hello everyone, my name is Dany and welcome to another Pixels video. Today we're going to be talking about the most recent event, the Barney's Bazaarn Blitz. Was it any good? Was it bad? Let's get into it. Now, one thing you should keep in mind as we talk about it is that this event was supposed to be casual, okay? Let's start with the boxes, which were essentially what you needed to craft in order to trade for points. You could create boxes of each skill using resources specific to that skill. You would start by crafting a tier 1 box and you could upgrade it all the way to tier 4. The higher the tier, the more points you would earn, the better your chances of getting good prizes, and the less time it would take to craft. A common feedback I saw from the community was, why does a tier 4 box take less time to craft than a tier 1 box? It should be the other way around. Well, you're completely wrong. This is actually the correct time frame, and let me explain why. Let's say we have player A, a casual normie who just wants to participate in the event and chill by making tier 1 boxes, and player B, a degen grinder who's aiming to compete for the top of the pixel leaderboard and is focused on making tier 4 boxes. Why should player B, who is committing more resources and time, be punished for upgrading their box all the way to tier 4, while player A gets a pat on the back for finishing a tier 1 box? It makes no sense, right? Because of this, having the tier 4 box take less time to craft compared to the tier 3, tier 2, and tier 1 boxes is the correct approach. While that's true, the time it takes to craft a tier 4 box is still crazy. 10 minutes. Let's say you want to just make 5 tier 4 boxes. Even if you are min-maxing every skill, that's still 50 minutes right there. Can someone explain to me how this aligns with the event being casual? The boxes are supposed to be a way for us to burn resources. They shouldn't require hours of grinding just to obtain. After all, they are not the primary objective of the event. Not to mention, there's no bundle option. You can only make one box at a time. This makes the crafting process even more tedious and extends the time commitment unnecessarily. So the next question is, why did Pixels do this? Well, it's very simple actually. They wanted you to spend pixel. This is pretty common to see companies do. They create a problem, in this case the unbelievably long crafting times, and then provide you with a solution, of course at a cost. The D40 allows you to instantly craft a box. This is just my opinion, but it really feels a bit scummy when you specifically design mechanics in a way that frustrates your players, motivating them to spend pixels on a quality of life change like the D40. I have no problem with the D40 or this type of idea, but it really feels a bit extreme. I think they could have easily made the crafting time something acceptable while still being able to motivate the D40 item being sold. After crafting your boxes, it's time for the minigame. You would start your shift and give away the boxes that the NPCs wanted. They would ask for a box of a certain skill, and you could give them one from tier 1 to tier 4. The higher the tier, the more points you earned for the leaderboard, and the greater your chances of getting a green clam, which is basically what you wanted. You could also encounter Guy Fieri asking you for a random box for fewer points, or an NPC requesting a pixel item. As a free-to-play player, you could have up to 5 NPCs asking you for boxes, but if you were VIP, you would get 2 extra spots. The same applies to landowners. I also saw some people complaining that 2 extra spots for each role weren't enough and it should have been 3. I don't agree. Having 3 extra spots would mean you'd have more spots than a free-to-play player, which doesn't feel fair to me. I think 2 is the sweet spot as it still provides a nice advantage while allowing free-to-play players to participate and feel like they can compete, which is really important. Something else I noticed is that, just like in Guild Wars, having boots and a speed pet provided another nice advantage, which is cool. It would be interesting to see other pets focused on strength and luck become useful in future events. If you didn't know, speed pets give you extra range, strength pets provide additional storage, and luck pets well, they give you nothing. Yeah, maybe it's time to add a passive ability to luck pets as well, Pixels, especially considering the number of RNG mechanics being introduced into the game. A shift lasts 5 minutes and you have 3 free shifts per day. That totals 15 minutes, which seems pretty casual to me. After your shift ends, if you were lucky, you get some green clams that could exchange at the gacha machine. Apparently, there were over 50 possible items you could win, including some D40s, golden clams, which is what everyone wanted, and the item that ultimately ruined the event: extra shifts. As the name suggests, receiving this item meant you had an extra shift, meant you had to craft more boxes, an extra 5 minutes to play, and another opportunity for green clams. Well, the thing is, Pixels was giving these away like hotcakes. Now, you have 3 free shifts per day, and people were getting dozens of extra shifts like it was nothing. I find the idea of an extra shift to be interesting, but obviously, an item like this should have been extremely difficult to obtain in the first place. And, in my opinion, to keep the integrity of this being a casual event should have been hard capped at 1 max per day. The fact that this was such an easy, common item to obtain blows my mind. Did no one in the Pixels team ever thought about how this could be so detrimental to the event? Now think about having 3 shifts and getting 20 extra shifts, which means you would probably get more shifts and more shifts, which meant more boxes you needed to craft, and you can easily see how this became a gigantic grind fest. They noticed after day 1 of the event, but the damage was already done, and there was no good solution. You either let it continue as is, allowing everyone an equal chance to obtain a ton of extra shifts and compete like absolute degens, or you nerf the item drop rate and give a huge advantage to the players who had already secured a lot of extra shifts. It seems they went with option 2, but the moment they hit live on the event, it was already ruined because of this. And for me, this already makes this event a huge disappointment. But we're not done, are we? Let's talk about the thing that pissed off the entire community: the prize pool. The prize pool was divided into 2 parts: a leaderboard with pixels for the more competitive players who accumulated lots of points, and a golden clam gacha where everyone had a chance to win some prizes. This idea of trying to reward competitive players and casual players is interesting, but its execution was outrageously poor. Let's start with the Pixels prize pool, which wasn't even provided to the community before or during the event, only after. Can someone explain to me how this can ever be acceptable? And you know what's funny? You guys might not remember, but this already happened in Guild Wars. The prize pool was not public information until the event was over. Now, I will say this wasn't entirely Pixels' fault, as it was a miscommunication between the Pixels team and the Pixels content creators, but a feedback I personally gave after Guild Wars ended was, and I quote, "I think it should still be part of the announcements in Pixels Discord, even if you give content creators the info first. It is crucial people know what they are playing for." And as you can see, Heidi reacted to it. Now, do you think that she listened to my feedback? Nope. Do you think after leaving out something so important, they would go out of their way to ensure it's available for the next event? Nope. A couple of days before the Bazaarn event, you had people in Twitter, Discord, content creators, so many people from the community asking for the prize pool info. Did they give it to us? Nope. One day before the event started, we had the AMA, where people were once again asking about the prize pool, and surprisingly enough, they did bring it up.
Can you disclose the total prize pool for the event, how much picks or percent per rank and leaderboards? So yeah, once the event runs, I think that's when we'll start to show the pixel amount in the prize pool for the leaderboard, which I guess is tomorrow. So the event starts again at 9 a.m. PST tomorrow on Thursday.
It was already bad that the prize pool was not provided before the event started, but do you think it was provided during the event even after Luke said they would give it to us? Nope. And you know what ended up happening? They announced the prize pool after distributing it. That's right. Not only did they fail to provide us with the prize pool before the event started, not only did they fail to provide it during the event, but they even managed to mess up the one remaining option by announcing it after handing out the rewards. You had one option, announce the prize pool after the event ended, and you still managed to find a way to piss off the community. I can't believe it. How is it possible to always make the wrong decision? I just can't believe how outrageously mishandled this was. Their excuse ended up being that they wanted to provide 50% of the pixels burned during the event as the prize pool. And of course, they're not going to know what that number is until the event is over. Now, look, I understand what they're trying to do. Their main objective is to create a healthy ecosystem by burning more pixels than what they're giving out. But let's break down why this approach is wrong. First of all, if this was your plan from the start, why do you not tell us? You could have also talked to us about it, like, hey guys, we're thinking of making the prize pool 50% of the burned pixel from the event. What do you think? Instead, you decide on absolute silence. The complete lack of transparency about literally everything is so infuriating. Also, as I mentioned, I don't think a format like this can work. Players need to know what they're competing for before the event begins. Without clear expectations, it's impossible to build proper motivation and make informed decisions. We need a new strategy. Finally, I think this approach is unbelievably greedy. You can't expect 50% of burned pixels to ever be an adequate reward. For that to work, you'd need a large volume of players willing to participate in the first place. While Pixels has a decent player base, it is not enough to make this model successful. And to attract new players, you need a solid good game, which right now you don't have. So yeah, here's a prize pool. If you finished anywhere below the top 5, you probably got screwed. And you know what's really sad? I am the least shocked person in regards to the prize pool being a disappointment. Both this pixel leaderboard and the golden clam gacha, which we'll get into shortly. I even made a video going through the event and telling people to not participate because it wasn't going to be worth it. And what's truly sad is that I received dozens of messages from people saying, "Damn, Dany, you were right. I feel so scammed and disappointed with this event. I lost so much." And I'm not just talking about some people who barely made it onto the leaderboard. I'm talking about a significant chunk of players who managed to finish in the top 200, and even a few who placed in the top 10. It's heartbreaking because it was you, the players who decided to believe in Pixels. You committed your time, money, and resources to grind the event, and you are the ones who ended up getting screwed. And that to me is really, really sad. Now, let's go over the gacha prize pool. You could exchange your gold clams for a chance to win an NFT land, a pet, or some themed event item. The problem was that these rewards were so underwhelming that if you didn't get a land, a pet, or one of the rarer skins, you were probably left feeling really disappointed. The reason it was so disappointing is that when you create a gacha-style reward system where players are bound to get multiples of the same item, those items need to have some utility when you get duplicates. The only item that fits this description is the Bazaarn chest. And I guess the wallpaper, but let's be real, no one was thrilled about getting multiple wallpapers. You could also get a Barney, the Grass Tier 1 kit, which would have been fine as a duplicate, but they completely killed barbecue usage in Chapter 2, making it essentially useless as well. Can you explain to me what I'm going to do with 12 bed frames, or 5 hats, or 5 Barney portraits? You get the idea. Nothing. There's nothing I can do with them. This is exactly why it feels so disappointing. Pixels did not respect their players here. Also, the Bazaarn chest is a limited time exclusive item, so why doesn't it have 6 rows like the Mochaverse chest? I'm okay with themed chest, but at least make them all the highest tier so people can actually enjoy using them. And why are trophies in the gacha? Why aren't these given to the 5,000 players who finished at the top of the leaderboard? I appreciate the idea of letting players buy and sell trophies, but why are they in the gacha pool? Look, I do like that they're trying to give rewards to the casual community, especially since they make up a much larger part of the player base compared to the competitive crowd. But why don't the top 100 players get a pet? Can we appreciate our competitive players as well? And you know, one of the worst things about all of this? Pixels has the wrong mentality about events. This is why they still have the audacity to call this a successful event after everything. Pixels only cares about one thing. For an event to be successful, it needs to burn resources. That's their only concern. Did players enjoy the event? Was it fun? Were the mechanics good? They don't care. As long as they burn resources, the event was successful and they're happy. And that is really sad because it's ultimately useless. Because items will just inflate again since we still haven't added consistent and effective burning mechanisms. All of this was for nothing. This is why we still have Luke going on Twitter shamelessly telling people, don't fade pixels. Even after, once again, disappointing the entire community with a failed event. One that ruined its casual integrity with the extra shifts and featured a horrible prize pool. And to me, that's just pathetic. Let's try to have some ego when we actually accomplish something good, because without it, you just come across as delusional. But with that, we have reached the end of the video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.